What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Tuesday, February the 18th. Believe it or not, we're already like a month and a half into this year. I can't believe it. It's Tuesday. I've got a sweet crew riding with me. We're, of course, missing the Tuesday night delight, but you might see him tonight on Off the Air. But we are not missing who's become a Tuesday regular on this show, Mr. Jordy In The Bank. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great, mate. Yeah, I'm great. I am a Tuesday regular. I like to think so. It's always here to review Raw, and it excites me to be able to speak with you guys about that. Chat with people in the comments as well. That's always fun because I feel like everyone's always got something to say about Raw or about SmackDown. You know, that's the best thing about wrestling. We all have our opinions. And speaking of opinions, it's nice to have a returning guest here.
Oh yeah,
Tuesday.
Hold the presses. He's back, my friends. We got that musician in the building. RC Tuesdays. The fans begin to chant the return you've all been waiting for. The host of Take It to the Table, Chaos himself, is here on a Tuesday.
What's good, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Yes, I am back after a long hiatus. I've missed you guys immensely. But yeah, the most important thing is I am back, and if y'all welcome me a bit longer, then I'll be here for the foreseeable future. But yeah, we're here to talk about Monday Night Raw. Quick little cheap plug as well. I know obviously it's probably way overdue, but I'm still going to put it out anyway. The top 10 best and worst pay-per-views of 2024. Myself, Soul, David Sheldon, and Ben, we're all on the panel. I know it's way overdue, and it's probably going to get probably 1 or 2 views, but it was such a fun little top 10 that we did. I figured, it'd be kind of wrong to just bury it under the rug. So that will still be coming out soon in due course. So, but anyway, that's then. This is now. We're here to talk about Monday Night Raw. I can't wait to get it into with you guys. So let's go. Let's get straight to it.
Absolutely, I'm stoked about it myself. What a wild Raw last night on Netflix. I actually watched this one with my pops. We both enjoyed it. It was fun. I think this is one of the better episodes in recent weeks, to be honest, myself. Not necessarily because of the wrestling, although the wrestling was good. So many storylines advanced, a lot of questions answered that we've been waiting for a long time. One of which is it going to be Toronto or is it going to be Las Vegas? Well, it's at least definitely going to be in Toronto. It's Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Their absolutely brutal rivalry will continue. We saw the referees and security have to separate them and everything. This is always a blast. These two, and gonna be an absolute war. How fired up for this one are you, Jordy?
Very much so. I think they've done a great job in terms of promoting it and selling the fact that it is different. And all it took for me was Sami Zayn to say, look, like you tried to end my career. Like, that's different. That this is not something, this isn't a zone, an area we've been into before. Like he said it himself, it's always been getting ahead. They've done it to get ahead, or for whatever reason, it's always kind of been, there's been a level of respect there when they've turned on each other, but this is different and an unsanctioned match. Like when AP, I think it was officially, well, not non-officially, when he made it out and kind of alluded to it initially and said, "Oh, you're gonna make me do something that I've never done," I was like, "Is it? Are they gonna do this?" And they are, and doing it in Toronto is perfect. It intrigued me because it makes me wonder what the destination for Mania is with these two, because having them on the chamber in an unsanctioned match, like, what do you do at Mania to top that in terms of a one-on-one match? Where does it go? Does one of them take each other out? There is a potential Randy Orton comeback as well. Like, could KO do a number on Sami so he's out for a few months or whatever, and then Randy comes back and takes out KO and there's the Mania match? I don't know. It's one of them things that it certainly makes sense to do it in Canada. 100% get that. 100%. But it does make me just wonder a little bit, like, what comes at Mania then? And WWE, I have to say, are doing a great job of keeping me on my toes and then hitting me with something unexpected that I actually really enjoy. So hopefully it's one of them.
Absolutely. And I mean, to your point, this is going to just be an absolute war. They're both Canadian. I think given the route that Kevin Owens has taken to get here, the key to this whole operation is it will not be a split crowd. This will be a very pro Sami crowd in Canada. Chaos, I want to get your thoughts on it as well. Unsanctioned, I love the stipulation, but I will say one stone maybe slightly left unturned in my eyes was like, how can the GM book an unsanctioned match? I would have liked if he'd phrased it better, like, I can't sanction this, but I will let you fight in an unsanctioned match at I little nitpick. That might be my only complaint, but I do also think the passion that Pierce delivered it with was good enough. What were your thoughts on the segment itself? And then more importantly, the match in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely, you know, you can never get tired of Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. You know, they're one of the very few rivalries that, you know, they can wrestle 100 times, and probably maybe 2 out of those 100 might not be that great. But yeah, it's a good scenario for both of them. It's something that could actually possibly even stretch over, you know, the next coming year to next year's WrestleMania, I feel. You know, especially with, you know, the Rumble being in Saudi next year. You know, you could potentially have him win that Rumble, have Sami Zayn win that Rumble, and then, you know, while Kevin Owens is actually world champion at that time, and then run that back at the next year's WrestleMania. But yeah, I agree with the regarding the way it was phrased by Adam Pearce. It felt very telegraphed. You know, it was like, you know, it was one of them things where you kind of wish he was just like, I can't sanction this, but I'm not going to stop you. Wink, wink, kind of thing. Instead of just trying to make it sound very telegraphed, like I can't sanction it, but I can make an unsanctioned match. I see what you mean. What we're getting at regarding that. So it kind of made it a bit telegraphed, a bit, you know, forced, if you will. But yeah, no, I'm here for it. It's gonna be a great match. Will they run it back from Mania? I'm not sure, because lately, you know, they don't really run back matches that is on a PLE prior, and then they do it again at Mania. Not in this regime anyway. So yeah, it could very well be an Orton versus Owens at Mania, because, you know, there's a reason why they're keeping him off TV. You know, but yeah, it's either way, it's going to be a great match. It's going to be hard hitting. It's crazy how the internet is really blowing up after regarding Zayn not wearing a brace on TV. Like, it's not that deep, guys, but whatever. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I love what you said there too. Especially about the Orton thing, because we have a lot of comments about that here. Like, we got Fernando Zayas with RKO is totally returning, will cost Sami the match, and set up KO versus RKO at Mania. And then Kafkaski added, actually, or Sami challenging KO to unsanctioned match, and then Pierce just leaving. Talking about the way that Pierce delivered it. We have that one. We had a couple other right here. Numero one Superfly. I expect Randy Orton to screw Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber, leading to Randy versus Kevin at WrestleMania in the 3 stages of hell. Love that numero one. He always wants 3 stages. But I will say this, when it comes to the KO RKO thing, it's so tantalizing on paper. And you can play it in the video game over and over again because it's a great matchup. Here's my one fear. We all know how bad Randy's back is. He's one of those guys on the roster. I don't think he can take the package pile driver. So what do you do with that? With these two? The way that Kevin Owens
he did, didn't he? That's why he's out.
I know he did take one, but are we going to repeat that? I mean, that was one of the biggest risks we know about.
Huge. I think that was what really made me be like, all right, KO, enough of this now. Like, don't do it to Randy. We know. And something with Randy is you don't even have to do anything anytime he's wrestling, because we know about his neck and his back and how serious it was. All he has to do is go. And I'm like, oh God, get him out of there! Get him out of there! Like,
I'm like, so if we book him in something like 3 stages war with KO, it's just an uncomfortable prospect. Like, I'm not saying he can't take it. It was more shouldn't. That was probably misphrased.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, we saw it once. I don't know that I need to see it again. So if it's not a way to get Randy over in that match, I'm not sure the purpose of just an all-out war between these two, because knowing them, they're gonna want to paint us an absolute masterpiece and go all out, and that's where just I don't know why I'm worried about player safety so much on today's show, but it's just at the same time, it does scare me with that situation. I mean, even with Sami and KO, I think obviously the Sami with the brace and everything is pretty kayfabe. Let's be honest with ourselves. You know, that's he's probably not really injured. He probably banged up because of the work rate that these two have. But at the same time, like somehow it feels
And
safer.
also, as well, there is a level of believability. And if we saw him in a brace now, are we supposed to believe that he can get out of that brace and have an unsanctioned match? And like, if he's in a brace this week, then next week he's getting absolutely stomped to the ground by KO because he can't move his neck. Like, do you know what I mean? So, like, you have to have a layer of like, he can't have it on right now if he's going to call that match for in a week's time.
Right.
It's not that far away. Like maybe 2 weeks ago, if we had a little bit more time, come out in the brace and then take it off and then do the whole take the brace off and hit him with it. Give me the full 9 yards. But with the little time we've got, this is why I'm shocked that it is at Toronto, despite because he said come and find me. So I thought they were just going to have a little backstage segment which would set up a Mania match, like a segment in the crowd to please the crowd, so they were so close to it, like something like literally like, you know, like up in the lobby or on the steps, and then go on to a potential this is leading to a Mania match. But like I say, how do you top unsanctioned?
Yeah, I don't know how you top unsanctioned. That's really 3 stages of hell might be the only one, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, that might be the only way, or Hell in a Cell, I guess.
Like if it was a singles match and they did the classic KO took it too far and got disqualified, and then Mania, it's unsanctioned, it's last man standing, it's a stipulation.
Right.
To throw a stipulation in at this point, I'm like, where do we go from here? But I'm so excited for the match still, don't get me wrong.
I am too. And I will say also, in fairness, when it comes to the brace thing, if you look at like American football players, often when you'll see a spear tackle, they'll put the brace on their neck on the field for safety reasons. It'll look really bad. And then, you know, but they'll be out of the brace in a few days. And so I actually found it believable enough in my eyes that, right, like it was like, ooh, they were really nervous because your neck's really stiff the way that was delivered and everything. But there's no structural damage. It's just stiffness. You can get out of the brace in time. Like that happens often in sports because you're always going to be cautionary around neck injuries. Like that's just, you know, we know, ask Big E, like, right. Like your career can go in an instant with the wrong neck injury. It's tragic. Like it's unfortunately it's a very fragile part of your body that's attached to your head.
I know myself, man. I know myself.
100%. Like neck, back, spine, all of that stuff is just difficult to deal with. But let's keep it rolling on today's show. Let's talk about some women's action. We had Dakota Kai. I wouldn't call it a shocking victory, although that's what the headline says. So I don't know why I'm sandbagging my own segment here. But at the same time, I actually thought Dakota Kai was the logical winner last night. It made sense. It was a fun match. It was fun enough for what it was, I thought. But Jordy, I do want to get your thoughts on this one all around. And it was an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I believe that's the case. So
no, it was it was number one contender for the IC title.
I'm sorry. We had we had a lot of contender matches. So either way,
that's all right, dude. About it. So because it was an IC title number one contender match, I do understand why it kind of says it's a shock win, purely because of what Gable said to Ivy, Niall, and the Creeds. Is like, I'm going away and I expect you all to be champions when I get back. So the kind of logical winner because of that to me was that Ivy was maybe not going to win the title straight away, but at least going to get that match. That does not mean to say that I'm not happy that Dakota won, because as much as I like Lyra and I'm happy that she won as well, like I probably personal preference, personal fit, and it's a favorite thing that I would have liked to see Dakota win. The only thing that does worry me about this situation is that I feel like we did this with Chelsea and Mia Yim, and we are now doing it with Lyra and Dakota, and we're just kind of running back the rivalry that we saw on the way to them becoming champion. And if we're going to do that, in my head, Dakota doesn't need to have a match with Ivy Niall. She's just call a rematch kind of thing. So it's a bit of a long-winded way to go about getting the same match, which I imagine, again, unless we see a shock, is going to be the same result when Dakota goes up against Lyra Valkyria. I can't see her beating her. And if she does, then I don't understand why Lyra won in the first place. So there's certainly question marks, but in terms of like me personally, I'm really happy that Dakota won and he's going to get another shot at the IC title, because I think she would be a great champion. And if not, then the IC title is there for that reason. It's there to give people, it's like, can they do this in the main event picture, see what they're like with the belt around them. I think she was a solid tag champion. Yeah, I thought it was funny when she called her a whippersnapper. That did make me laugh, I have to admit.
That was classic.
But yeah, I can see why there was question marks for me. I was like, well, didn't think it was going this way. And again, it's just that level of intrigue, because I know, is this a case of then Gable's going to come back and be really angry at the Creeds and American Made because they've not got the titles? Because I thought it was going to be the other way around, and they would actually somehow get them, but we'll see.
I mean, okay, there's only one other thing I want to add, because you broke that down perfectly, and I agree. There was some funky, fluky stuff in there. Lyra at ringside, not on commentary, was interesting. And I don't know if you caught it, but sitting in the chair at the end of the match, she turned, and the mic didn't really pick it up, but you could just tell exactly what she said. She said, "Are you going to hand me a mic?" No. And then just got in the ring, which I thought was really interesting. And I don't know if that was a production mistake or if it had anything to do with the storyline. It was just an odd moment, because I actually didn't even catch it. My dad caught it first, and he was like, "Back that up. Like, did you see that?" And we played it and like even slowed it down, and like it was very obvious that something to that effect. I'm not quoting word for word there, right? Kind of paraphrasing, but like something to that effect. It was like, "Are you going to hand me a microphone?" It was like, "Oh no." And it's interesting because you have microphone spots later in the night and whatnot. I found that kind of funny, and it didn't take away from the match or the results or anything like that for me, but it just was an odd moment. And there was a few other odd moments throughout. I mean, the finish was fine. The finish was fine for what it was. Like, all good. But I mean, I don't know. Chaos, did you have any thoughts on this one and the IC title picture over on Raw?
Not really. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of like in the background for me. I don't know. Just the mid card title scene regarding that. It's not really hard right now. I'm sorry. I don't think. I really think that Dakota Kai should have been the inaugural champion than Lyra. She's just not. I'm just not connecting with her at the moment. Nothing bad against her. I mean, she's a fine wrestler. She's good. But I feel like in terms of momentum, I think the person I really needed the most was probably Dakota. But yeah, they're going to run it back at Elimination Chamber. You know, they need something to make these mid-card titles worthwhile, because us fans have been clamoring for these. We got it now, but they I don't know, the only one that's really doing what is the United States Championship with Chelsea.
I was about to say, well, they announced the United States, didn't they? And they said it was going to be cross-brand, and then they went back on themselves within a week, and it was like, oh, we're bringing the IC, and everyone was like, whoa, what? Okay, right. We did ask for this, but like, surely let's get one built up and make sure it works across both brands first, and then bring the other one in. So like me, who's literally been clambering for this for ages, even on myself, I was like, whoa, two at once might be a little bit much, guys. And it just feels like booking wise, it kind of
one is more fun than the other. One's more interesting than the other right now. But I think the Lyra and the first match that they had was just as good. So I'm sure they'll pull it off. But yeah, it is what it is.
It's funny to me because over on NXT, I think the North American Women's title has been closer to the workhorse title we expected the Intercontinental title on the main roster to be. I mean, between Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley and now Stephanie Vauquer, like all the matches are off the charts. They're long. They scream Intercontinental title more than the IC title on the main roster.
It's also a credit to Chelsea Green as well, because not everybody, if they got made inaugural US champion, would have been like, I'm going to wear a Statue of Liberty costume. I'm going to make myself the first lady of America. I'm going to run this gimmick. And that's a credit to her, and always something that Chelsea has always done since she's came back into WWE is make the most of your minutes. And when you're on screen, do something great with it, do something different with it. And I think that's why we care so much more about that title right now.
to your point, she like in some ways, you know what you're going to get with Chelsea Green, but we almost because of how
Yeah,
big
if it was
of a
IC, she would have
personality
done
she
something
is.
different. It
Right.
wouldn't have been the First Lady of America, but she would have done something different with it. She would have started wearing gear that represents all continents, or she
Right.
would have done something, because that to me is one of her biggest talents. It's like,
That's what I was
right,
gonna get to.
okay,
Adaptability.
yeah,
She has
you're
the
giving me
best
this. Let me
adaptability.
change something. Let me make it my own and make
Mhm.
make it me. And that is something that in a wrestler is so important.
Yeah, the creativity and adaptability, I think, is really underrated when it comes to Chelsea Green somehow, because we praise her for so many other things: the charisma, the in-ring work, the heel work, the comedy aspect, right? But we forget how truly adaptable to any sort of situation or storyline she is. I think
Yeah.
that's a great point there, Jordy. But really quickly, let me talk to you guys about a few things here. Let's talk about Itsy. Download the Itsy app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. So even if you got an Android, you can get it. Head over to the upcoming stream section. We're doing it every weekend. It's awesome. You can check it out. And the best part is, if you really want to argue with somebody like me about maybe, say, John Cena or Cody Rhodes, you're welcome to join the stream, turn your audio and video on, and have at it for a few minutes. Once again, head over to the App Store or the Google Play Store, download the Itsy app, and head to the upcoming stream section. You'll love it. Let's keep it rolling on today's show. Let's get to our third segment of this afternoon for me, evening for some, morning for others. Gunther, whatever you like to call him, the artist formerly known as Walter, which somehow starts with a W. He cut one of the best promos, I think, of his career last night. And I may be alone in this thought, but the walking down through the crowd and every little kid in the Yeet shirt, the way he stared at him and was so mean and so intimidating, and they're booing him and yeeting him as soon as he turns around, but as soon as he looks at him, they all get frozen. It was brilliant, because you can't write how a fan's going to react. And he walked down through the crowd. Of course, Jay was going to come out and do his thing. The McAfee part was excellent. McAfee being terrified, I actually thoroughly enjoyed. I anticipated him going full Pat and sort of stealing the show a little bit. He did not do that. He showed the proper amount of fear and respect, at least in my eyes, to Gunther.
I think it's
over.
Clark that's.
Everyone wants to eat. Everyone likes doing it. I'm just saying. Wait, is there something wrong?
Yeah, you kind of jumped and cut out a little bit there. You had a little bit of a Wyatt 6 glitch, but you're back. You're back.
Sorry about that. Are we good?
We're good. We're good. We're good.
What did we miss?
We're
in the middle of the segment. Either way, okay. You know what? You talked to me about Gunther and Jey Uso last night, Chaos, and I'll get this audio situation sorted.
Hit the panic button. Fair enough. No, it's all good. This segment was fine for what it was. I'm in two minds regarding this, because on one hand, I'm glad that they kind of branched out regarding Gunther's typical stick when he speaks to his opponent, saying like you're trash. I'm bringing prestige to the title, all this kind of stuff. He did something different, which was actually come down through the crowd and just mimic Jay's entrance, whilst cussing out some of the fans along the way and cussing out little kids, and whatnot. And then the little interaction with the commentators was okay for what it was. And then obviously he was tempting to he was teasing to possibly beat down Pete McAfee, which I would love to have seen, to be fair. But then obviously Jay came out and they had a little brief brawl. And I think I've said it before in the show, is that they're really running the risk of making Gunther be very one-dimensional, because he's coming out with the same tactics when he faces a potential threat to his championship, or not even really a potential threat, because he always goes around with a chip on the shoulder, and his ego is bigger as the eye can see. 9 times out of 10 he doesn't get humbled. But yeah, I feel like this one, the fact that he's also having on Jay's side, obviously people are questioning him whether he can do it. The New Day backstage obviously questioned him, saying he ain't going to do it. And obviously the backstage commentators, they're obviously wondering, can he not do it? So I feel like that's just going to give him more ammunition to actually defy the odds and just prove everyone wrong, which in a way it kind of makes it telegraphed, because there's no way now that Jay can't win. Like, he has to win now.
Yeah.
And
I don't see. I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being like pessimistic and don't want to get my hopes up that he's going to do it. But I think I said it last week on the show. I can totally imagine them having Jay lose at Mania, and then maybe having Cena win or something like that.
Oh,
and
gosh.
I still think this. I still think Jay's going to become a champion through a briefcase. I still think they want to sell the Yeet in the Bank things, and he could cash in on Gunther, which then could lead to a really good rematch and add more layers to the story.
But I
just Gunther losing twice at Mania on the bounce championships scares me for Gunther's character and stature.
I mean, they obviously, they can need people that obviously face Gunther. Two things I will say, obviously, regarding that. I understand regarding, two losses on the bounce, but obviously later down the line, when he has future feuds, other wrestlers can actually use that to Gunther's, and mess up with the psyche, saying, yeah, you can win at every other pay-per-view, but you can't win the big one at Mania. And that could actually add another layer. Another thing is Manias lately, the past few Manias, it's all about having happy endings. There's only, and that's what I'm saying. It's like
not night one though. Last year, remember the Rock pinned Cody, and everyone was like, "Oh no!"
There was no booze. Everyone loved that. That's what I'm saying.
True. That's true.
It's not really it's not when Austin sold his soul to McMahon. It wasn't that level.
Yeah,
that kind of hatred. So it's always a happy ending, or happy ending to almost all the matches that's been happening in the past few Mania. So that's why I feel like, the fact they gave him the upset at the upset win at Rumble. I mean, they're going all in on him, and because again, if he doesn't win, who else is next?
The other thing that I'll say is Cody losing. That was the other thing. Like, are they going to do the thing? Are they going to give Jay the redemption year and then pull the trigger at 41 to make him win the title there, kind of thing? That's the only thing where I wonder. But if Jay wins, and like you said, I think I even made that point as well last week. They can use it in future. If Gunther can't win at Mania, that's a great little layer as well. Exactly. It's like you do it everywhere else, mate, but you can't do it on the big stage. So, are you the ring general, really?
Exactly.
I also think it's interesting with Jay. I get some of the criticism. I understand it. I think, Chaos, what you said about it being telegraphed is the only complaint I have about this storyline, truthfully. But I've said it 30 times on the air, but I'll say it again. I was at the Rumble and they only sold 2 male superstars gear in the kiosks, right? It was John Cena and it was Jey Uso, which also bothered me for a different reason, which was that they were the final 2. So thanks a lot. Speaking of telegraphed, Chaos, right?
Good point.
But at the same time, the most interesting part of that was all of the Yeet gear, beanie, t-shirt, men's, women's, all sizes, all of them throughout the arena were sold out by the end of the tag match, the second match of the night the first match of the night after the Women's Rumble. Women's Rumble tag match. You could no longer buy Jey Uso gear, and you could buy John Cena gear. And I found that fascinating. I was stunned by that. Blew me away, because I was aware of how big the Yeet thing had gotten and how big Jay had gotten. But at the same time, I didn't expect him to outsell John Cena.
I've got a question for you, Clark, and I don't know if you know the answer to it, because I know what the end of shows can be like. Could you buy Jey Uso gear again at the end of the show?
Okay, so this is really funny.
Was it a tactical pull to then get the winner t-shirt out or something like that?
You could not.
No,
but they had bootleg Jay gear that was outside the arena, you'd never imagine. And people were, when we were all walking out, we walked on a big crowd. People were yeeting in the crowd. It was interesting, because then I got back to the hotel, checked my phone, and all of a sudden the internet's like, Jay Uso, no.
A few years ago, that was LA Knight, wasn't it? Like
right?
LA, you were just walking, people were just shouting, "Let me talk to you." Yeah, just everywhere.
Yeah.
It's now Jay, and that's class.
I like couldn't believe the internet reaction in relation to the in arena reaction. There was like and I think part of that was a little bit, Pat calls himself basically the mayor of Indianapolis. And he's out there doing the yeet thing and getting the whole, 70,000 people yeeting after it. Like everyone was pretty fired up from that standpoint. So like I'll give credit where it's due there. But even, the only people who reacted negatively to the victory were wearing Cena gear. That's all I'll say. And it was overwhelmingly actually the opposite, which was wild. I never expected that. And that is no knock on John Cena. Truthfully, I love the joke about the sweatbands and all of that stuff. But at the same time, like, trust me, I bought a wrestle buddy for my godson at the show. So like a Cena one, no less. So like, let me be honest with myself here and with everybody in the audience. Like I bought Cena gear at the Rumble, but it was an interesting juxtaposition there with the Jay win. And I think this rivalry with Gunther, it's important that he wins, but to your point, Chaos, the telegraphed nature of it for a WrestleMania main event, because that's the other factor here. My dad kind of said the same thing last night. Is that the main event or the opener of one of the nights? And I think it's going to end up being an opener. I think it's going to be an opener, whether it's night 1 or 2. I think it's an opener.
Which, quickly, before we move on, I hate so much, just because Cody's point last year, the whole thing was that he won the Rumble, so I should be at the end and I should be my main event mania, and it's my right. Because he came out and literally, I'm not going to swear, but he came out and said, this right here is bull, the last word. So, like, now,
but if anyone,
for Jay to not win it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But obviously, it should be at the opener, because, like, who else has the most hyped entrance?
They'll get a crowd going.
You get a crowd going. So that, like, and they did it with, was it Becky and Rhea last year, or was it
right
the year before?
I believe it was.
Like, it's not wrong with being the opener. But it'll be a great start, 100%.
Yes. Even the Cena and at the one we were at, even the Cena in theory, as much as we made fun of that match, we still got the Cena entrance out of the gates, right, to get everybody going.
I guess the counter argument to having it as the main event is that moment, if he does win, is incredible, and his entrance to bring the crowd back up for the main event when you're a little bit, I'm a little bit tired now, and then you hear the music hit, you're eating, and if he then wins as the kind of finale of Mania, it'll be up there with Yeselmania. Like
I think
Coffee Mania, everything.
If it was going to main event, it's a night 1 main event, though. It does not scream night 2 main event to me, because I feel like it's like night 2 main event is main event 1A, and night 1 main event's main event 1B. Right.
The game's the game. I think it should. I think the Rumble should always entitle you to the main event, men and women. One should get night 1, one should get night 2. The game's the game. I appreciate that. John Cena, Cody Rhodes are all on that card. Rhea Ripley's on that card, who hasn't been chosen as a Rumble winner's choice.
Yeah,
I get it. I just think it should be kind of written in stone, because that's why you want to win the Rumble so much, because you get to walk out last at Mania.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's me being old school. I don't know.
No, I think that's absolutely fair. I have no issue with that. But let's move on to our main event of the evening, the main event of the evening. This one, I really liked what they did with the callbacks to the original and like the Universal title thing and everything with Finn Balor and Rollins past. First off, Finn Balor's new entrance music, stop it. Just go back to the old good one. What are we doing? Second, I don't know anybody that thought Finn Balor was going to win that match last night. Nobody in the world. This was Seth Rollins' match to win. It was executed all right. I thought it was a really good match, but these two have main evented major shows with each other. And it's not that Raw last night wasn't a major show, but it just didn't, I don't know, it didn't feel as big as it should have. Chaos, did you feel like that, or did you feel like it delivered for what it should be?
I'm right on board. It was one of the most telegraphed qualifying matches during this whole thing, to be fair. But don't get me wrong, obviously they have great chemistry. Like you said, and they have history regarding the Universal title. Another tidbit is that Seth Rollins brought back the curb stomp facing Finn Balor on that one random episode of Raw.
Right.
And now then obviously their little feud went during his World Heavyweight Championship run. So yeah, so when they face each other, it's always great. But yeah, there was not a sliver of a chance there was, Finn was going to win, especially with regarding the stuff that's happening with Judgment Day. Now, do I feel like obviously Seth is going to win the Chamber? No. But it makes total sense with what they're going regarding Punk and Reigns all being in that same match, and then see what's going to happen and with the fallout going into Mania. Yeah, it was fine for what it was. That little botch pin was a bit annoying. That ref, man, he's quite synonymous doing some botched pins or pin counts. But yeah, Seth obviously took it in stride and gave him the old DX chop, and then carried it on. But yeah, no, it's for what it was fine. I enjoyed it. It was I'm more concerned about what they're doing with Finn and what's going on with Judgment Day, because they still don't really have an out as to when is this breakup going to happen? Is it going to happen? It's starting to be like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. They keep on teasing it, but nothing's happening. So what are we doing here?
1000% chaos. Like, I don't know if the Judgment Day has been worse for a wrestler than it has been Finn Balor. Like, I mean, we're talking about a guy. I get that he got the Demon Hell in a Cell match that we were at 39. That was only a couple years ago, right? Against Edge. It was a cool match. But the Demon doesn't win anymore. He lost to Reigns. He's not really the leader. He's gotten replaced as the leader 3 times and stayed in the group. Like, I've never seen that in my life. Like, Finn Balor needs a one-way ticket to anything else but Judgment Day. Like, he needs to just figure something else out. It's not his fault because he's an awesome wrestler. He's an awesome talent. And like, I cannot figure that out. And the botched pin you brought up as well, Chaos. Dude, what was that?
Yeah,
that was brutal.
I don't know who. I think was that Finn's fault?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because it was a fast count, so I don't know if Finn didn't really hear it or something, but yeah, it was either the ref's fault or it was Finn's fault, because yeah, it was
he
weird.
did the full arm tuck across his own body, like to not hit for 3.
Yeah, I think it was Finn, to be fair. I think it was Finn's fault. He just didn't kick out in time, but it was still bad. It was still noticeable.
Well, and the camera angle was too obvious. It was one of those where, like, sometimes production, like, you can get away with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, like, it was right there.
You can tell they always cut away so quick after something like that happens. Like, oh, no, you were supposed to see that. It's so
oh, no, camera cut. Well, no, I thought it was funny because there was the sign that said hire El Generico. And I felt like production was trying to keep that one off the screen last night, which I thought was interesting because it was a funny sign. Like, every time the guy would hold it up, they'd cut. And then he'd put it down and then they'd go back to the hard cam. And then he'd hold it up again and then he'd cut it. And I was like, why are they trying to keep that off the screen? I didn't, but I was watching that all night. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but either way, so Rollins in the chamber, Jordy, pretty stacked chamber lineup here. We got what? Punk, Rollins, McIntyre, Cena, and then Priest, and I'm missing one more, and it's a good one too. Who's the 6th again?
Logan Paul? You say Logan?
Logan. Oh my goodness.
It's not a good one.
I forgot that one on purpose, by the way. Remember,
that was you forgot it.
See, that's the difference between us and last night. That was an intentional botch. But either way, Jordy. Is Seth going to win the chamber? I don't think so. Could he? Maybe.
I don't know anymore. You look at the
resident Cena expert, though. I want you to put your name on whether Cena's going to win this thing or not.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. If you'd have asked me 2-3 weeks ago, before that press conference, I would have 100% said no, he's going to fight Logan at Mania. That press conference has done exactly what I thought it was going to do and what he intended it to do, and it's thrown a spanner in the works. I don't know. Maybe Cody versus Cena is the move for Mania. It's a huge, huge match. I think they could put on a great match. They've got more history, I think, than people realize, these two, in Cody and Cena. So it could be, and I would love it, and I would love for him to main event his last WrestleMania. But the fact that Logan's in there with him, I still think that could be the route, which makes me think, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know. Is it going to be CM Punk? Could it be Seth? Where's Roman? What's Roman doing? Like, I've got so many questions. And in terms of quickly, yeah, Seth and Finn, great match. We knew who was going to win. I would have picked someone else personally. I would have tried to maybe throw in an AJ Styles into that match with him recently coming back. I would have been like 75% sure Seth was going to win, but I would have been like, maybe they're going to throw AJ in there and Seth will turn up and cost Punk the match or something like that. With it being Finn and the current run that he's been on, why would I believe that he's going to beat Seth and end up in the Elimination Chamber? And as well, quick shout out while we're talking about AJ Styles, the shirt catch.
I was about to just say, I don't know when catching random objects became the coolest thing you can do in wrestling, but it's still cool.
Especially when they're thrown at you. He was thrown directly at him and he just caught it. And the whole thing is that, if that's planned, that's genius, because the whole thing about AJ and Braun that I'm getting is that AJ's going to be one step ahead of him. Like, he tried to spear him, he moved out of the way, and Dom got hit, so he caught you out. Yeah, I knew what you were going to do, and then he took your shirt off and he threw it at him and he caught it without even looking. It's like, I've got your number, kid. Like, keep coming at me. I'll always be a step ahead of you. So it just added so much more to it. And DCX Warlord is right. I don't think it's better than Roman catching the mic. I don't think anything. Think anything will ever be better than Roman catching the mic.
But it's still just. I mean, Roman didn't even move his hand.
Oh no, and he winked.
Yes,
it was outstanding.
Yeah,
I mean, and we've seen. But by the way, honorable mention in this: the Bubba Dudley back in the day, Bubba Ray catching the kendo stick is one of the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely getting drilled by it, and then he just snags it and pops back in. And
even better, flipping when Rock caught the baton. I think from Big Boss Man. He proper Air Jordaned it, and he just clubbed it.
He just stuck his hand out.
Yeah, that was a good catch.
Absolutely. Those things are just fun. I love what you said about the one step ahead thing there, Jordy. I think it's the same deal. What's fun about it is it's like they pre-told a story of like the classic brute force guy that's chasing the quick, skilled guy. And the getting out of the way aspect of it, like it's a sports story as old as time, right? Speed versus power, who wins? Speed and precision versus
and intelligence
power and
as well, knowledge, wisdom, that kind of thing.
They really told that in a short segment with a t-shirt throw and a missed spear. You know what I mean? Like it was cool for sure. I will say with that's going to bring us to the end of today's show. Please check out Off the Air tonight, immediately following NXT. That's going to be an absolute blast. As Chaos mentioned earlier in the show, if you didn't hear him, we got more Ticket to the Tables coming up soon. Absolutely. Jordy every single Tuesday, all kinds of good content from Jordy. And if you haven't checked out his Disney stuff, what in the world are you doing? But I'll say this, every single day, daily broadcast, same time, same place. That's going to be noon Pacific, 3 o'clock in the East. That's, of course, 8 o'clock in the UK and 9 a.m. for my friends in Hawaii. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you soon.